And how you've been dealing with stage 2 and feeling like you're not progressing. Yeah. And my question is, which of these three sounds the most relatable? So logical resistance means that you internally evaluate the chances of success and decide that they are low, so you choose not to proceed. That can be related to feeling like you're not good enough to do something. There's emotional resistance, which is to believe that it would be unpleasant or painful to do something, and the desire to do it is not enough to overcome the anticipated unpleasantness. Then is physical resistance. Physical resistance is simply just your energy. Like, do you have enough energy to follow through on the goal that you have? And
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Emotional resistance, it seems probably the most likely. And by emotional resistance is something I deal with in not just exercising, but dealing with a lot of things in terms of self-care and so just doing other things outside of league, because I just don't feel enough.
So what is the source?
I don't feel like a push. I don't feel like I really want to do anything whenever I'm done playing League, and I think that might be is that a withdrawal symptom?
Let's remember that. Let's write that down. So you don't feel like you want to do anything.
Yeah, and I'll get in depressive mood swings after I'm done playing my 3 games.
Okay, so I want to ask you, what is the source of emotional resistance that you're feeling? What is the source of it? What's the reason that you feel this way?
I don't know if I have an answer. I'll have to think for a second.
So so think of it like this, right? You have an emotion, and the way it sort of works is that it's not a binary scale where it's like you're happy or you're sad, like this. Instead, it looks something more like this, a sine curve. It's a gradual thing. Sometimes you feel sad, sometimes you feel happy, and it goes up and down like this continuously. What a lot of people do is that they really hug the highs and they try to make it last as long as possible, but it will inevitably make the lows that much more impactful. Then you also have the other way to deal with it, which is you try to remove the emotion because you don't like the highs because the associated lows feel bad.
So it's just a straight line.
It's a straight line, correct. But this is not a good way to deal with it because you're sacrificing the benefit of positive emotions to remove negative emotions.
Is that how the antidepressants work?
I can't really answer that, but I would just imagine that yes, it's about reducing, either making it neutral or alternatively making the swings very sort of subtle. So basically the amplitude of the curve decreases and you stay sort of relatively around the same sort of emotional state. The real way to actually deal with this is to understand that sunshine cannot exist without rain. A sunny day won't feel good unless there's sometimes going to be rain.
We wouldn't want to live if we couldn't die.
Correct. And we wouldn't really care if we were happy if we didn't feel sad sometimes. The sadness is what provides contrast. There's nothing wrong with this. However, for example, bipolar people, their lows and highs are very sort of, they fluctuate very often, and it can happen like that. Just instantly they can fluctuate. So for them, their highs, the frequency, instead of looking like this, it looks more like this, etc. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, that's just to describe what I mean. So when you feel depressive mood swings, what is the response that you have to that?
To lie down in my chair and kind of just not do anything.
Right. So
I want to take a nap.
So you feel more like this. You want to try to get this, and you want to avoid this when it happens. Does that seem right? Does that make sense?
That sounds incorrect. Yeah, that makes sense, but that sounds like the wrong way to do things.
So my question is, why then can't you embrace the fact that you will feel sad? Why is it that, before we even talk about sort of the mood itself, which is sort of establishing what the root cause is, like going down the tree, you have like a tree with branches, going down the tree to the stem, and then ending up here where you can then figure out, okay, what exactly is going on, you know? But before we do that, I want to understand. So when you do this, why does it feel bad to be sad?
It's not that.
Explain to me. I want to know.
I feel like something's wrong here because I don't think it's the sad that's bad. I think it's the thing that's causing me to be sad.
Oh, sure. Okay. In that case, then.
For instance, the fact that I played 3 league games means I can't play another. And
why does that make
would
you sad?
cause me to be, because I want to play more league games because I'm an addict.
Why exactly do you feel like you need to play more games? What's the real reason?
Because they're fun. That's the simplest reason, is that I think they're fun. I want to keep going. I want to keep. I want to improve. And no matter what happens in the previous game, I feel like I want to somehow make it better. I don't really feel satisfied.
Lack of satisfaction.
It's not escapism, I don't think. And I proved this to myself yesterday. It's not just escapism, because yesterday I didn't have anything to do, but but whenever I was done playing League, I still felt this way. I wasn't escaping anything.
Sure.
It's just...
My question is, when you feel this way, or when these things happen, when you get tilted, because you have mentioned before that you feel tilt and such, and you feel this lack of satisfaction, is this a choice, or is this an experience?
It's an experience, I feel like.
Yes. So it's not something that you decide happens.
I don't think any of those 3 things are something that I can decide happens.
Correct. Exactly. It's not a decision. It's not something that you create. It's a response. It's an experience to whatever is currently happening. Emotions are like that. They have a logical reason for existing. Every emotion can be reasoned around. Every emotion has a reason and purpose for existing, whether it's a coping mechanism or something else. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So what I would like to know is sort of, let's nail this part down. Because you said it's not escapism, because you have also felt similarly before. But what I want to know is then, what is it? If it's not escapism, what is it then? Essentially, why? Why do you feel this way?
It could be... No, it's not. At first, I thought it was because I'm frustrated with how I played, but I could have played. But at the same time, I don't think that's true.
Why do you not think that's true?
Because it doesn't matter how I played, I'll still want to play another.
Sure.
I think it has to do with, maybe it's the feeling of, maybe I'm not comfortable being inadequate at the game. Or not inadequate at the game. I don't feel comfortable. Well, okay, let's go with that. I feel inadequate with I feel like the way I'm playing right now is inadequate.
Why is it inadequate?
Because I keep making the same mistakes. I have a lot of trouble with, that's a huge thing. If I make it's like, I feel like, oh, I made a lot of really dumb mistakes. If I can fix them, then my next game will be a lot better, etc., etc. I keep making the same mistakes.
Yes, continue.
I know, I'm just thinking. I think a lot of it, I feel like I can continue. I could be better next game. That's the biggest thing. Not the biggest thing, but...
I want to know this. What do you mean by this? So, I can be better the next game, but what I want to understand more specifically is, do you feel this way because you genuinely feel you can be better the next game? Or is it because you feel that because you were playing inadequately that one game, in the next game you feel like you need to make up for it? You need to do something differently so that you don't feel inadequate anymore about the previous game. You're essentially trying to chase adequacy. You're trying to chase the stability of understanding that you are where you are. You're trying to chase sort of the where you want to be.
I think that happens sometimes.
Okay.
I don't think that happens all the time. Just as I think the escapism thing does happen sometimes, but not all the time. However, I will also do everything right, and I will still feel unsatisfied, especially if I do everything right and I still lose. And I think those are the main reasons in terms of adequacy. I think there's also I also think there are distractions that I have that will remind me of how fun it is to this really vague idea that League is fun. I'll see some pro player play Lucian really well, and then I'll feel this intense desire to play Lucian too, because I want to do the cool plays, and I want to do, and that was kind of, and I was like, I'll just get like inspired to play some flashy champion because they look cool and stuff.
I want to understand this better first. So we have like two sort of branches here. Let's go with this branch. So because I want to fix what happened before, why do you feel that you need to fix the previous result, like the previous game's result, or your previous game's performance, to be more specific, the performance that you displayed in your previous game? Why do you feel unsatisfied with that?
You're asking a big question, I'm going to be honest.
What I'm doing here with you is I am having you identify down the chain of your beliefs until the absolute bottom. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to reach the bottom of this branch. I'm trying to understand the deepest recesses of why this is the case, why you believe this. So think about it. What is your answer?
Because I want to fix what happened in the game previously.
Why do you want that?
I don't know if I can give you, I feel like I need more time to think. I don't know if I can give you a good answer now.
No, but think about it. So what feels confusing to you right now? I want to understand. What's like confusions? What are some confusions going on in your mind right now that's hindering you from reaching a...
I'm worried that the answer I give you will be inaccurate because I didn't just play a game right now. And like, maybe I should write down what I feel like after I played it, or directly after I play a game, so that way it'll work out.
Okay, then, so your confusion stems from not having a point of reference. Is that true? Like you are worried that because you don't have a frame of reference to sort of build your answer on top of, that it might be wrong.
Yes.
Okay. So, answer, frame of reference. It's necessary for the answer, otherwise known as context. Context. So, let's think of a context. I want you to think back to a game, any game, that you remember where you felt a certain way. Can you describe to me, from that context, what inspired you to then want to fix what happened that game in the next game?
Let me look at my match history. I don't know, because I think it has to do with, like, I think a big thing has to...
Go on.
I think CS numbers is a pretty big thing, because I feel I have had because I will have, like, I am very well aware that I am capable of hitting 7 CS per minute and being able to hit stage 1 stuff. If I put my mind to it, I can do it. When I don't do it, I feel frustrated because it's harder to put my mind to it when I also have to think about other things as well. And if I get distracted or if something out of my control happens.
Right.
And you'll definitely see that in this VOD where, because I made quite a few, like, there are so many problems that are stage 1 related in this VOD that I'm going to send you.
The thing here, though, that I want to ask here is this a technical problem or is this an emotional problem?
I think it's a technical. Wait, what do you mean by technical? Can you explain that?
So think of it like this: what you're essentially saying is that, you're not saying it, but you want to look at the VOD because you feel that the VOD will, in some ways, fix the problem so that you no longer have this issue. What I'm trying to say is that isn't necessarily the solution to the problem, because then we're just simply avoiding it. Because then we are simply just avoiding it by getting good enough so that we don't feel bad about it anymore. However, the deeper reason for why you feel that way will still remain. Even if we fix the technical problem, the emotional problem will still be there. And the emotional problem, in some way, will probably be around acceptance. You are unable to accept certain things about your play.
Yes.
And that's not something that will be fixed by me going into a VOD and telling you to CS better or how to CS better. That is something that can be solved by first accepting that it is happening. Understanding that this is an experience, an emotion that you're feeling. But that you should not try to solve the problem by looking at the technical reason why you feel this way. You should instead look at why you feel this way, because that's where the real issue is. Accept the fact that you aren't hitting the CS numbers, and that's okay. You are getting a certain amount of CS, and that's okay. Now, what I want to know is, why are you unable to accept it?
I don't think I'm unable to accept it. I think I am. I just need more practice.
What do you mean?
But maybe that... well, there are games when I feel fine losing. This game. I didn't really have that many outbursts. I did want to go brag to my friends about how bad my teammates are, but that was just for fun, not really out of any kind of like emotional response. But like, I didn't actually feel that bad played this game because I knew that I had played well.
What do you define as... Okay, so that's interesting. I think you've hit the nail there. I don't feel that I play well. That's when it gets to keyword, when you feel. What I'm trying to say here is that there's a difference between what you feel and what is actually happening. There's also a difference between what you feel your performance is versus what your performance actually is.
I think it was a bit easier for me this game because of how obvious it was that this game was completely out of my control. I mean, just like 2 of my team members had over 10 deaths and less than 3 kills. And it's like, and so it was very obvious that I was probably going to lose no matter what because the comp I was playing into scaled much better than mine.
So when it feels like it is basically definitive that it was out of your control, that's when you're able to accept.
And this could also be a sign of growth as well. Maybe I would not have accepted this game previously, but because of your coaching, I feel more open-minded to thinking it was, this might not actually be that bad.
Right. When it's obvious. So I want to specifically target sort of this here because I feel like this also sort of ties in with what you said here, especially when you lose. This and also this. Because it feels like the result of the game in some ways, or like whatever happened during the game that led to the result, in some ways that ties in with how you react emotionally. Does that make sense? Like, does that seem like, do you resonate with that? Because out of what you've said here, and also what you are saying here, specifically, when it is obvious that, in this case, the game is out of my control.
Because, those look like conflicting statements, but I don't think that even though they are, or even though they look like it, I don't think they actually are, because it all hinges on how I perceive how I play. Because even when I do it, because I will feel unsatisfied when I will feel unsatisfied whenever I do everything right, but I don't recognize that I do everything right.
I see.
Because it's very clear that I did as much as I could when I go 12-4 and pretty much hard carrying my team, but that does not, and I'm like the only person that doesn't have 900 deaths, but it's not so obvious when I don't do any damage because every single fight is just pandemonium.
So okay, from what you're saying, it feels to me that the answer to this is that the things that you did well are not as prominent to you mentally. Like, you are not able to notice them because you are more inclined, you're biased against it, and you're much better at noticing the negatives, the things that you are not doing, the things that you are doing poorly. You are much better at noticing those things than you are at noticing the things that you actually did well, or the occurrences of something that you did well. As in, you can do, like, let's put it like this, so you have a bit of a context here. You could do, like, 4 good trades, but if you do 1 bad trade, this trade right here will stand out to you the most. You don't really care too much about these. This sort of like, it's like a passing thing. But when this happens, your mind is extra aware of it.
Yes.
Because this stands out to you more than what you did here. So everything that you did right suddenly does not matter anymore. Because this one occurrence happened. Or maybe a few times, over the course of the game. You had like a few of these. Like maybe it was like a 60-40 sort of percentage where 40% of the time you failed, 60% of the time you succeeded. But because it was a 40%, and because you are much more aware of the failures, this feels, emotionally, it feels like a 30-70. like you failed 70% of the time. On an emotional level, that's how it feels. When in actuality, the reality was this. Which also explains, by the way, why you feel this way, right here. Because here you notice that even when you do everything right, again, when you do consistently well on trades, and then suddenly something bad happens, or whatever happens, suddenly you don't feel satisfied anymore. And even if you did like 80 to 20, you still feel like it's like a 50-50. That is where the source of the the lack of satisfaction, that's where that comes from. Because you are not VOD reviewing and noticing the things that you do well. You're unable to notice the good, the good, or not, maybe not good or bad. Like that's a bad way to explain it. But you're not noticing the times when you are doing it the right way versus the times that you are doing it maybe not the right way. You're much better at noticing this than you are at noticing the occurrences of the right things.
So the things I need to be doing next time will be what we're doing, essentially, with a positive mindset.
Not necessarily a positive or a negative mindset. You are simply just looking at reality for what it is. Because being biased either for or against any given event, any given experience, either being a correct trade versus an incorrect trade, etc., etc. Whether it's correct or incorrect, you should neither feel positive nor negatively inclined towards either. Because being biased towards looking at these means that now you won't notice the mistakes. You won't notice the times that you don't do it, which is also not a good thing. So both ways, like both extremes, should, like, you can't go from one extreme to the other. That's not the solution. The real solution is acceptance. Seeing reality for what it is. If this is the actual thing that happened, if you can VOD review and you can see, okay, I did this many trades in the correct way, that is a fact. It's nothing to do with your emotions. It's nothing to do with positive or negative mindset. It is a fact. This is reality. Whether you like it or don't like it, this is what happened. Whether you don't like it or do like it, this percentage is what happened. This is the ratio of correct trades to incorrect trades. When you base your confidence on facts and reality rather than emotional state, or an emotional interpretation of the results, the outcome, you will find that your confidence is much more stable. Because then you are basing it on things that are proven. They are measurable. It's concrete.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, going back to what I said before, what I've learned recently is that meta skills are far more important than the technical skills. Because there is a technical solution to this problem. But the emotional solution to this, like the solution to the emotional problem, is the actual solution. So this is what you actually want to work on. Does that make sense?
Yes. It's something I should be aware that because that I will try to view my everything as everything negatively, which should prompt me to question negative emotions. Or not negative emotions, negative results, in case they're biased.
Sure. But the core principle behind this is something that's also rooted in Kung Fu, which is essentially the idea of the middle way. The middle way is neither the path that goes directly between these two, and it's neither one extreme or the other extreme. It's when you embrace both extremes at the same time. That is the true middle way. The middle road. Make sense?
Yes.
So being able to not only notice things that are quote-unquote negative is just a way for our ego to associate things, or positive, another sort of label, like labeling of experiences. So it's neither about being positive or negative. It's just about noticing reality for what it is. Okay?
Do you want to still do the review?
Again, like I said, the real problem that you're experiencing is not necessarily something technical. I don't think it is. We can definitely look at the VOD, but I first want to tackle this because I think this is more important.
My apologies. I like the way that I'm trading more because I feel like I'm trading more and I'm excited, and that's kind of but I didn't miss a lot of CS. Whatever. So
Yes. So this is the solution.
So
I mean, does everything make sense, or is there anything that's unclear?
No. Okay.
Okay.
I think I need to be VOD reviewing more, so that way I can practice this.
Sure. That's great. Solution, VOD, also VOD. Yeah, that's another great solution. So VOD review more, be open to both correct and incorrect execution. Just notice for what it is, without attaching any emotion to it. And that's also, by the way, the reason why you feel like you need to get into more games. It's because the negatives stand out to you more, and you're not noticing that, hey, wait a minute. There are things that I do that are positive. There are things that actually are that I do that are correct, and that's a fact. We can VOD review and see that, right?
Yeah.
And the frustration can in some ways also be attributed to this. But I'm curious. Do you feel like if I ask this sort of broad question, do you feel like this answers not only this branch here? This one branch here, but also the other branch here. Like, do you feel like this solution... I'm not asking logically. Logically, I think it makes sense to you, but I'm asking on an emotional level, does this answer feel correct? Does it feel like it answers it?
I don't know if I can... I think I'm still facing that confusion. I feel like I need to write down after I play a game how I feel in the moment, because how I feel right now, I feel like will be biased. Not logically. From a logical standpoint, there's no real way to capture how I feel right now, or to capture how I feel after a game right now.
Sure, that's fine. In any case, though, I want to tackle this. So
the bottom one?
Yeah, so I want to understand this.
So, okay, I was thinking about that. And the way... And the graph, the curve you showed me with the really high, the upper highs and the lows, that's definitely something that affects me. Is whenever I'll get really excited and I'll be in this fast-paced action, and I'm getting the adrenaline rush, and I'm getting all of these dopamine hits.
Yeah. And
then it's gone, and then they can't play any more games. And then it's just like, and then it feels bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
And then you slowly recover again.
And then that's not healthy, is it?
I don't think it is, no. Nosedive into the bottom? Yeah. I don't think that sounds healthy. This is literally like...
Roadrunner?
Yeah, Roadrunner.
And the coyote?
Yeah, coyote, yeah. It's like when the coyote just falls on the floor and it just gets like literally flattened on the floor. That's...
Yeah, that's me after my third game.
And fuck.
Yeah, basically. And so the way that I would probably deal with that is to make sure I'm not playing my games at once at the same time, to space them out over the course of the day.
Yeah, that's a great method to do it. Then you sort of do this instead.
And I think the other thing is to find, but what's difficult in this kind of a process that we cannot release right now, is finding other things that I'm interested in to fill in those gaps and to get that and to create. I need to be able to create similarly to how it feels for me to play League. That is not League, and that is hard because League is meant to be really addictive and to really hit those highs for a long time.
My question is, why does this happen? Like, what is the aspect of League that makes it like this?
The competitiveness, is like the adrenaline. It's exciting. That's why I want to play Lucian, is because unlike his ass is just position right, press and then auto people to death, and that's pretty much it. Versus Lucian, to which you're playing like essentially John Wick the champion, and you're going in close quarters, and you're just getting this huge rush from making sometimes making risky plays, and and it's just like Lucian's a more exciting champion to play essentially because he has a dash. That's pretty much what it is. He has a dash. He's the only ADC on the tier list that, besides maybe Kai'Sa. And Kai'Sa's isn't really a dash. Kai'Sa's weird.
She just walks faster.
She walks faster. She has her ultimate ability, and that's like a really big dash.
Yeah. But then she has like her E, which is like sprints really quick, but then it stops.
Yeah, it's just like, it's like
go on.
And so it's just after I'm done playing Liam Neeson John Wick gameplay, I feel like everything else just feels so much slower, and my brain is no longer going at 100 miles an hour, and I am having trouble with accepting that.
Everything else feels slower, more dull after the experience. Okay, I'm not sure. I think in some ways these are connected. I feel like.
Well, that's the point. It's idea of it's essentially adrenaline chasing, which I don't think is a bad thing. I think League is a good place to do that because unlike riding a motorcycle in League, you're not risking your life. So, or riding a motorcycle with your helmet off.
That depends, actually. Yes, you're not risking your life immediately right now, but in the long term, I think that one thing that's like really a really good tool is negative visioning. So essentially, what is the reality you would end up in if you kept doing the things that you are doing? Are you happy in that reality? Do you feel satisfied? And so on and so on. So my question is, what is the reality you would end up in if you kept doing what you're currently doing?
Well, I would probably die and feel very uncomfortable because I wouldn't be sleeping or eating or relieving myself in the restroom. I might have water next to me, but the water will run out. And so if I just spammed League games without addressing my physical needs, then I'll probably just die in a few days from starvation.
Right. I mean, yeah, that would be the worst case. But I'm thinking about the reality that you're currently living, because currently you are playing 3 games. So my question is, with this reality in mind, as a context, what would end up happening? What do you think?
Assuming that I'm alive, I wouldn't be able to play. I physically would not be able to play League forever because my parents, the money my parents have will one day, if I am just living off my parents, the money that they have I will one day lose it all because if I'm not generating anything on my own. And then I will no longer have a house or a PC because the IRS will take it because I won't have any to...
Right. The other thing, right, is that this right here, everything else feels slower. So let's say that we take this, because this essentially highlights one thing, which is that when we do something that's very sort of adrenaline-inducing, something that's highly addictive, it can create this feeling of dullness. And this can affect other aspects of your life, because what ends up happening is that because you feel this is more desirable than doing other things, you will have a harder time working out. You will have a harder time fixing a sleep schedule. You will have a harder time staying committed to a job. You will have a harder time doing other activities because the other activities aren't as enjoyable. And that's a slippery slope, because what ends up happening is that over time, if you give in to it, over time you eventually stop doing other things, and then it's just League, right? So it's this emotion. Now, the thing is here that it's because of the adrenaline chasing that you actually feel this way. A lot of, if we think about like most severe cases, so like addicts, drug addicts, the reason they feel so inclined to keep smoking or keep doing like whatever they do, it's not necessarily because of a lack of understanding what this can do to them. As in, it's not necessarily because they don't know the health risks. They don't know like the risks of doing this. It's not because of that. It's because they are misidentifying this as being because of other things. By misidentifying it, you are then saying, oh, I smoke weed because life is stressful and weed decreases my stress. The issue there is that it's because of the weed that you actually feel this way. Because it's when you stop using the weed, that's when you feel stressed. Like it's when you start using weed that everything else, in contrast, feels more stressed. It's not because the other things in your life are more stressful. It can be, but in most cases, it doesn't have to be. It can actually be mostly because this creates a contrast. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So the contrast is created by the thing. It's not because the other things that you are doing are slower or more dull.
But I don't want to cut out weed from my life just because it's adrenaline.
Right. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, how can we identify the reason why it goes from being just a video game that you can healthily use as an activity to, have fun in your own way. And in your own way, it can be either improving or just enjoying the game. It's healthy. It's perfectly fine, right? It's perfectly fine. But we need to identify why it goes from being an activity that is good and pleasant to do towards being something much more. So, like, more of a adrenaline thing. More of a chase, more of a sort of more addictive activity. We need to identify the reason why it becomes that. It doesn't have to be. For a lot of players that, improve, they never really let it tread into the territory of addiction. It never really feels like that. And that's especially true when you move over from climbing to improving.
Okay.
Right?
I don't want to think about climbing right now. That's a whole another can of worms.
I mean, I think that might actually be the reason in that case. If that feels uncomfortable to you when I mention that might probably be a reason. There might still be some remnants left of it.
They're more than just remnants. I see them not. As much as you tell me climbing doesn't matter, you cannot make the number go away. You cannot make my rank disappear.
I can't. And that's a technical problem.
And I have to see that every game and be like, and I have to see my massive loss streak right now and be like, take a deep breath and realize that this is okay. And it's difficult, right?
That means we haven't fixed it yet. So now, okay, I am pretty confident based on the response that you're giving me, how it sounds, that the reason why for both of these problems, actually, the answer to both of these, the mindset is focused on climbing over improving, enjoying the game.
That's hard.
And that is the reason.
It's hard to change your mindset on that because everybody else will tell me that climbing is the most important thing because they're so attached to their own rank because they sacrificed their own life to achieve it, right? I know I shouldn't be making assumptions, but when someone tells me that rank means everything to them is an indicator of that.
So people around me are attaching their own value to the rank. People constantly tell me that rank means everything. Anything else?
People get upset at me when I vent about games that have factors that are beyond my control because I did not take it into my own hands to 1v9.
Right. So, okay. Is there any internal reason? Because this is sort of just external factors, just people around you telling you stuff. What else? Is there anything else? Anything internal going on within you?
Let's see. I know for a fact that rank doesn't matter. However, I still, no matter what, I feel like I'm going to have some sort of response in my mind whenever I see that I have lost on a game. And I do not know, I don't think that's going to go away.
But in some way, Malone is going to respond to my rank because of what?
Why? Just the
Why?
numerical value, the change in the numerical value.
No, but why why does it? So okay, why does that affect you? Why is the numerical? Why is the change in numerical value affecting you?
Because let's see.
Like for example, like you don't even like. I think that you can just remove OPGG. I've for the most part at least. I would say that looking at your OPGG beyond just within a coaching session is not necessary.
Okay.
The reason why I say for coaching session is because you can look at it to see like benchmarks and stuff. But that's about it. That's the only reason why I look at it. Or to identify if the player is focusing on climbing over improving.
I like having blitz.gg because it tells me how much CS I'm getting. Like, it'll have an indicator at the top of the screen that will say if I'm getting... this could be bad or good. I don't know if this is bad or good. You'll have to tell me. But it'll tell me if I am getting, like, sometimes that if I'm getting, like, 5 CS a minute, like 7 CS a minute, something like that. Because it's really weird. Because if I just the raw number, it will take more time for me to register if I need to be getting my CS up or not. When I could just see I'm getting 5 CS a minute, I need to be. But maybe making that judgment at all of whether I'm farming good or not is incorrect.
It's mostly just about noticing the times when you do it right and noticing the times when you do it wrong. Because a number doesn't really tell the whole story. It just says, over the course of the game, or over this period of time, this is how much CS you had. It doesn't say anything about why it happened. It doesn't say anything about what exactly is missing in your toolkit for this skill that you're working on, right? You can't determine from an OPGG if you are not so good at last hitting under tower. It won't tell you. That's why we have VOD reviews, because VOD reviews help us see the reality of the situation. But tools like Blitz and OPGG only give you numbers. And the numbers are definitely good to know, but the deeper, like the much more impactful way of doing things is to VOD review. See why it happened. Not just identifying what happened, but why exactly did it happen. Did I do it right sometimes? Sometimes you can actually CS correctly. You can manage the wave correctly. You can last it correctly. You will do that. There will be times where you do that.
But it doesn't mean anything if in order to do that, I completely do something that causes my game that if I let my team die, essentially, because I'm too busy farming.
Sure, but more importantly, you cannot identify and see that you did the skill properly, sometimes, like over like a period of time. You did do it at some points in the game. You did do it correctly. You cannot see that based on a number, and that can actually be a reason why a lot of people who are so ingrained at looking at Blitz or OP.gg, why they don't VOD review. Because they obsess over the number. When maybe the number isn't really the thing they should be focusing on. They should be focusing on why the number appears. And because they're so obsessed with the number, now they're noticing what they don't have. If you have 70 CS at 10, you are noticing that there's missing 10 CS. But you're not noticing the 70 CS that you got. You're not noticing the times when you did get CS and you did do it right. You are noticing that lack, that discrepancy, because you are too obsessed with the number. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The number...
Do you think... Oh, here's something we haven't talked about that's kind of related to... I think I'm having trouble letting go being a stage 2... I'm having trouble letting go being a stage 2 student. Because...
Go on.
When you're talking, I keep wanting to ask you if you can review the VOD on the off chance that you'll think that I'm ready for stage 3, when that's not important, right? And so I think that's also an issue, is that I am chasing improvement, and that I'm chasing I'm chasing the idea of being stage 3 because because I've been doing stage 2 for so long. And I think that's also an issue that impacts.
Right.
Because that issue is what causes me to want to look at OPGG. That's what's going to cause me to want to look at the VOD reviews in a negative mindset.
Okay, I see. So this is actually related here to this branch. So chasing the idea of stage 3.
It's related to all the branches, I think.
Why is this a causal relation?
I don't think that's accurate. Hold on. If I'm not reaching... Oh, okay. Never mind. I think I just misinterpreted what you wrote.
1 second, wait. 1 second. So, continue. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. So, I'm more inclined to look... Because I feel like... Because I have this weird interpretation of the improvement process that if I reach a specific point in my gameplay, that I will be able to move on. When it's not a specific point, it's kind of sure I can check to see if I've traded every way, gotten the CS goals, but that's not the. But I don't think that. But that's such a specific goal that I don't think that's actually what you're looking specific. Because what you would probably give me it if I did reach that goal, but I think you would also give me it. I think you would also let me move on if I didn't reach that specific point. Especially if I reach that specific point in my improvement while also having a bad mindset. I think you're looking for something a bit wrong in my gameplay, is what I'm trying to say.
So what I'm trying to say with is like, okay, so for stage 2, the goal is just to be able to trade consistently when your main trading ability is up.
Yes.
Yes.
Lennox said to trade every way, but is that different for you?
Huh?
Whenever Lennox was telling me about stage 2, he told me to try to trade every wave.
Yes. Oh, yeah. So okay. The minimum is like trade once per wave.
Yeah.
But for like competence, it's just to be able to recognize, and to at least try to time it around the last hits with your main trading tool.
Yeah.
That's it for stage 2. In any case, though, I'm not necessarily looking for anything broader, but the reason I'm doing this with you is because I think this is more important. And
okay.
I think that the reason why I want you to go through this process is partly because the things that you're experiencing with not being able to deal with failure, not being able to deal with these things happening, these are reoccurring.
That's holding me back.
Yes. It's going to happen, whether it's stage 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. It's going to come back. Even if we fix the technical reason why you feel this way, it doesn't solve the actual reason. And the actual reason is something within you mentally. Again, going back to your mental sort of equipment. You need to get equipped for dealing with those emotional problems, such as not being able to accept that you are where you are, or accepting that climbing isn't the way and that improving is the right way, or just enjoying the game and being able to fully sort of understand it, both emotionally and logically, coming to terms with it. And that needs to be fixed before even thinking about fixing anything related to the game. Because even if I get you to become stage 2 competent, you will still have these issues.
Then I will run into those same issues when trying to be stage 3 competent.
Yeah, or stage 4, or stage 5, or whatever you're working on.
Oh my gosh, dealing with those issues we had during stage 4 would be really frustrating, huh?
Yeah. And that's why we want to deal with them now. Because solving the technical reason, which is the CS, doesn't solve the actual reason. Your lack of acceptance. Your inability to accept your situation. Your inability to ignore your rank and focus on improvement.
So, there's now a time where we come to an answer?
Yeah, so now is the time where we ask ourselves why until we reach the bottom. So, what I want to know is, why do you feel like you can move on? You mentioned this sort of sensation of like, I'm able to then move on to the next. Why do you think that it's a matter of just getting done with it and then moving on to the next thing? Because I can tell you right now, with stage 3, you're still
never moving.
Yeah, exactly.
You're never actually moving on.
Exactly.
I think what I'm kind of chasing is wanting to move away from simpler champions. because I see how fun like Jin, Ezreal, all as Aphelios, all the complex ADCs are. I want to play them and master them, but I can't because I have to learn the simple champions first. And
it's logic. Okay, so let's first address this. So logically, I think you understand that playing complex champions will hinder you, but emotionally, I think you're not there yet to really coming to terms with it. So what I want to know is, why do you want to play more complex champions?
Because you mentioned
before.
I'm chasing the adrenaline rush, right?
Sure, but I see something else too. You mentioned I see someone making cool plays with Lucian, which inspires me to want to play Lucian.
Yeah.
Somewhere in here is a identity sort of thing. You identify with a player playing Lucian, and you want to be like that player, or you want to play like that player. And in some way, by playing the same champion that they are playing, you are satisfying that inner fantasy of becoming someone like that person you saw. You are satisfying that craving to be like that. But what you're not realizing is that by craving for that, by trying to chase that, be like playing something that someone else has played and feeling like inspired, I want to do the same thing that they are doing. You're emotionally unable to see that playing the champion itself will not get you towards this. There's a disconnect between the logical side of things and the emotional side of things. So what I want to know is, what is it about the player that you actually care about when you see them playing a complex champion?
I see proactivity. They're able to... Whenever I play Ashe, I don't feel very proactive. I feel like if I ever want to do whatever, I feel like whenever I play Lucian, I find a lot more trading opportunities just because of how his kit works. And as Ashe, I just don't. I find it to be difficult to do things on my own, to have the agency. Whereas Lucian can, if you find the right timing, there are times when you can E in and you can set up really intense trades that completely change the lane. If you are aware of cooldowns and trade timings and positioning.
So far, you haven't really mentioned anything about Lucian. Notice how you are saying things that aren't strictly the champion, but rather the things that you like, the concepts, trading on CS and such and such and such. So maybe what you are actually looking at is you are looking at what they are doing and you are associating it with the champion, rather than associating it with the skills that the player has. How does that answer feel? Does that connect?
I don't know, because there is something flashy about the way Lucian deals damage. That is something that I cannot obtain with Ashe. There's something...
Why is that? Why is it something that I cannot obtain, Ashe? And why is that an issue?
Because I'm seeking.
I don't want like the overarching it. I want your reason, your personal reason.
I want adrenaline.
I want your personal reason. That's more of an observation of the thing rather than like what you actually feel. Like it's
Lucian, you can go in and you can have all this burst damage. You can. God damn it! I hate this reasoning, but I have to say it because because I am being told by external factors that Lucian can carry harder than Ashe.
Ah, there we fucking go. Okay. Lucian feels like he can carry games harder. There we go. We come full circle. Here we fucking go. Alright. Okay. You see
it's all connected. It's all connected.
Okay, it's not even this. It's that it goes back. It goes back on itself. So you are so focused on climbing that your picks reflect that choice of mentality, and so you choose to play champions that are conventionally told to be better for carrying, even though it really doesn't fucking matter, because you can carry with any champion. But emotionally, emotionally you feel like no, because people are telling me, oh, I need to 1v9. Oh no, I need to 1v9. I need to take the game into my own hands. Even though that's not always possible, and that's not something that you should expect off of yourself. But because of that, because you're told all the time about this stuff, suddenly you drift over to Lucian. Because you feel like, oh, Lucian can carry harder. He has more carry potential. He has more damage than other ADCs. I need to play him in order to win more games. Ergo, all this fucking shit. So, this is all connected with this. And I think in some ways it's also connected with this because you're not feeling like you're progressing in the stage system, you are looking for progression in the rank system to replace that.
I'm looking for something to validate me because I don't want to validate myself.
Right. So there we fucking go. I'm looking for something to validate myself rather than actually doing it.
Something to do it for me.
Because I want to do it. I feel the need to do it to justify myself, which also explains the need to focus on climbing. The rank itself isn't what's important to you. It's not the thing that's important to you. It's the validation that you get out of it. It's the feeling of how you how you feel relative to what other people see, or to how you observe, like how you're observed, essentially, or whatever, if that makes sense. It's the validation that you're seeking. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that's why you can't let go of the fact that you are stage 2. You can't, because it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel nice to be stage 2 for this long. Because then it's like you feel like your self-worth is like lacking because you aren't getting to stage 3 in X amount of time. And stage 3 is more of a badge rather than actually a skill that you're working on. It's rather you want the status, the validation that comes with having stage 3, which is also true for rank. You are not looking for reaching diamond. You're looking for the validation that comes with that.
Yeah, pretty much it, yeah. And nails it on the head.
Okay, so now that we've sort of figured that out, so now that we've sort of figured that out, let's remove this. Why do you feel the need for validation?
Because my friends that play League, bad friends.
Because of my friends. This is like...
I've always had toxic friends in League. I don't understand. Oh. Maybe it's because they feel the same way that I do. Maybe it's like a loop.
My friends are toxic, or let's not say that. Like, I mean, sure they can be toxic, but because my friends are so focused on the rank, and I want them to approve of me. This sounds right to me. You feel like because of your friends, because they focus on the rank, and you want to be their friend, you want to feel liked, you want to feel validated within the friend group that you have. Because of that, you seek for the rank, because you know that if you reach that rank, you can then seek for the approval of them.
Yes, that's pretty much it, yeah.
So answer, okay, the solution to this. So why do you feel the need to be validated amongst your friends? And also, think about it. You already said this. They are pretty toxic. Some of them may be pretty toxic. I don't know, because I'm not their friend, but...
I don't know if they're toxic. I don't know if they're toxic. They are nice to me. I just don't think they're... But I think the way they try to, like... I don't think toxic is the right word. But right. I do think that they... I'm still pissed off. I don't know if I'm still pissed off, but this hasn't gone resolved yet, but the way that they criticize me for venting about things that happen in my games that are out of my control, I think is stupid, and I think it unethical.
So, well, this is sort of a dual thing, because venting about it means that you feel that it's a problem. So you feel there's a problem with the things that are outside your control. But it also is, of course, your friends criticizing you. That's all. Like, there's two problems here in this one point, is what I'm saying. Does that make sense? Because if you were comfortable with the idea that it's out of your control, then you wouldn't feel the need to vent about it so much. Ergo, you wouldn't focus on the associated outcome because of those things. Again, going back to climbing, etc., etc. So, in itself, the venting reaffirms the stuff that we went over here. Does that make sense?
So is venting bad?
No, it's not bad. Not at all. It's neither good nor bad. It's just what is happening, like your expression of an emotion. Again, it's neither good nor bad, but it says something. You can use that as information to maybe learn more about yourself. So my question is, does what I say make sense? Like, do you feel like it is connected in some way to the climbing mentality? Focusing on the rank, feeling the difference in the magic number beside your name.
I mean, I'm probably needing to. There's probably some emotional. There's probably some emotional things along with my that go along with complaining about teammates and stuff.
Right.
And there is probably some sort of reaction to my rank lowering that I'm upset with. So
let's start with this. Why do you want the approval? I want to know. Why? If they're your friends, isn't that already enough?
I don't think they really are my friends.
I don't think they really are my friends, but I want them to be. Does that resonate with you? And yes. because you want them to be your friends. Because you want them to be your friends, you are going for the rank because you feel like if you get the rank, then you will get the approval from them, and then you will get them as your friends. You will be able to be friends with them because of this.
Yeah.
So why do you need them to be your friends? Why?
Because I don't have friends that play League of Legends with me. I don't have there's a lot I want to talk about that I don't really get to talk about with anyone else because they don't understand. I definitely feel largely misunderstood whenever I talk to anybody about League outside of results.
My question is it specifically to do with League, or is it just I don't have friends?
It specificically has to do with League. I do have friends
outside.
And I am outside of League, and I'm.
Is that satisfying enough?
No, because my relationships, because I just transitioned from high school to college, my relationships are incredibly bare, and I'm having to rebuild a lot of. I'm having to. I don't have. When I was in high school, I would just rely on having the relationships that I had built in elementary school. But now that I'm in college, I have to build relationships over from scratch, essentially.
Right. Okay.
And so it's a process. My friends outside of League aren't strong enough because I haven't had the time to develop them yet.
From high school to college, or I have had to rebuild the friend group and create connections. So would you say? I would say that this actually might be the reason, though. The overarching sort of theme. It's that because of this transition and because of the fact that you need to now rebuild your connections, you feel that it is easier to do this through attaining those friends through League. And because of that, you go for the rank, because the rank has an associated sort of approval, which leads to friendships. But when you think about it, let's think about it. Even if you do reach that rank, do you really think that they will become true, actual friends that you want to spend time with?
No.
Not really. And I agree with you. I don't think they will. Even if you have... And especially because you've already said their mentality is vastly different. Vastly different from the mentality within Resolve. and just, around improving. Vastly different. And I might even add, they probably don't have a lot of common, they don't have a lot in common with you for that reason, with regards to League of Legends.
They're just bad listeners.
And do you appreciate that? Would you want to have friends like that don't listen to you or are not good at listening?
I don't, and I'm trying to move away from those people, but it's hard.
And
because I don't have anyone else.
Exactly.
No one else.
I cannot remove myself from these people because I don't have anything else. So loneliness feels much worse than being with people who I don't even relate to. This fact, I see this. Yeah, I think this makes sense. Okay, but go on. So why is this a problem? What is wrong about being alone? I want to understand.
What's wrong about being alone is that I have ideas that I want to express that I am incapable of expressing if I do not have people to talk to.
Right. But should we sacrifice the quality of friends for the sake of having friends? Should we prioritize volume over quality of each individual friend? Would you rather have 10 acquaintances or one friend that is really, really good? A really, really good friend.
Definitely the one friend, right?
Right. So you would rather have someone who you can relate to and who you can speak to that actually understands you. So misunderstanding of what really defines a friend. I think that's where the issue is. I think it's a misunderstanding that you need people in order to feel happy. That's one thing. The other thing is that being lonely is worse than being with people that I disagree with or I don't even relate to. In my opinion, there's a fucking Williams. You see this?
Is this Robin Williams?
Yes. I used to think the worst thing in life was to end up alone. It's not. The worst thing in life is to end up with people that make you feel all alone. Facts. If you think about it, these friends, quote unquote friends, do they make you feel more fulfilled?
No.
Do they make you feel like you're with people that you understand and that can understand you?
No.
No. So in the end, it's a net loss. And the reason why you can't move on from it is because you feel like the loneliness is way worse. Which tells me something about how you feel with yourself. Because like I've said before, right? A relationship is a mod to an already good game. If the game doesn't feel good, if the game isn't good, the mod isn't going to make it better.
So should I leave the server?
Ask yourself, do you want to be with these people? You've already stated a lot of reasons and a lot of complaints regarding that, hey, I don't really want to be with these people. You've already stated a lot of good reasons. And it's not even me. I haven't said anything to you. And it's not my decision to make. That's your decision. So ask yourself, is it really worth it to stay?
The problem is that I will have that not staying with them interferes with... I don't think that's true. I don't know.
No, say it.
It interferes with the goal that I have,
which is
to play with higher level teammates and to play with people and to play on an actual team competitively. But I don't think these people are even that good anyway.
So right. So then there you go. And I can tell you right now, even if you did play with higher ranked players, there are so many players up there that don't understand the fundamentals, and you would realize that too if you got there. So trust me, that's not what you want to be prioritizing.
I really do want to go meet players who understand the fundamentals, and I do want to be on a team like that. That's something I really want to do. That's what drives me to improve, I think, is if I were to choose, is being able to synergize with other people and to coordinate with them, you know? It's a little difficult to express, but that feeling makes me feel really good whenever it happens, and it's very rare. And I want to.
You want to have
obtain that. I want to have that. Yeah.
So think about it like this, right? Finding that type of friend comes down to figuring out where they will frequent. and you've already sort of, resolve is a place where that can be, attained. You just need to look out for it. You can literally, by the way, you could actually do this. You can ask just like a question within either general or discussional or other questions. There's like an other questions channel somewhere. You can just ask a question. Hey, is there a support or someone that wants to improve on the stages with me?
I've actually known someone in real life who plays support, who is still new to the game and has not been indoctrinated into the ranked mindset.
Right.
And so I kind of want to pursue that relationship with that person, because if I can indoctrinate someone,
okay, all right.
Hold on. I can get them to my idea first. Then
hold on. Yes, go on.
If I can get them to if I can convince them
that
improving is fun and better than ranked, and that ranked doesn't really matter, then that's a very good situation for me, because then not only do I have someone to share my ideas with in terms of playing League of Legends, but I also have this person in real life, which is something I would not be able to achieve in Resolve because it's all online. And the problem with an online relationship is that I will not be able to do things outside of League of Legends with this person very often. There are very few things I would be able to do besides maybe play like a tabletop game.
Why is it not then possible to... Because you do other things too, right? You do art.
Yeah, and this person also is interested in art.
So my question is, sure, definitely go for that. But my other question is just, if that didn't exist, why isn't it possible to pursue a friendship with someone who does art? Maybe doesn't play League, but they do art.
I am pursuing a relationship with someone who does art, actually.
Okay.
And I might actually bug them after we're done with this session, and we might go around the school and do gesture drawings. That'll be fun.
Yes. So, but my point here. Here's my point. I personally think, from what you've said, which has mostly just been negatives, that you should probably leave that friend group. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to justify yourself. You just move on. And that's okay. Because like you've said, they're not really your friends. They're just people that happen to play League, that happen to focus on rank, that you happen to want approval of. But you already know that even if you got the approval, they wouldn't become anything real. You wouldn't feel satisfied to be with those people. Pursue the friendships that you do actually want to have with people that are actually, relatable, that you can resonate with. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And if you fix that, suddenly, boom, all of this, done. Gone. Because it all circles back to here. It all circles back to the idea that you need approval, and thus it justifies itself, because you then go for playing Lucian and more complex champions because you feel you need to carry more. And the reason you feel you need to carry more is because of your rank. The reason you need the rank is because of your friends. And the reason
but I still want to play Lucian because the champion is fun.
Sure, that's fine. But we need to take care of the toxic reasoning, the reasoning that is caused by things that aren't really healthy or important for you. And the way we do that is through this process of consistently just identifying why, getting to the bottom, why, getting to the bottom, why, etc. Sick. I'm gonna just copy this, honestly, and just gonna paste it here. Oh wait, no, wait, hold up. There we go. Now it works. Okay, there we go. Don't say. Nice. So we're not doing a VOD review today. But I don't think we need one, because I think we tapped into everything else that was important. The VOD, not that important. This, crucial. Okay?
This is also more than playing the game.
Yes, 100%. Fixing these issues, again, because I already said, The meta skills are what's really lacking in the community. The content and the fundamentals, the actual info is out there. It's already available. You have Resolve, you have other areas where it exists. It's not a problem of learning the skills. It's a problem of learning yourself, understanding yourself, figuring out yourself. If you can't figure out yourself, you won't feel good about yourself, which means you won't play well. If you don't know how you can learn in the best way possible, you won't be able to learn anything. So even if you have all the fucking content out there in the world, you won't be able to apply it because you do not have the necessary mental tools to process that. So the meta skills come before everything else. And that's why I did this. That's why I prioritized that and I didn't do a VOD review. Because the VOD review would only solve the technical issue. It wouldn't solve the actual problem.
I think part of me wants to fix the issue with the friend group somehow, but that seems really hard and not worth it.
It's not worth it. Yeah, it's you have an emotional resistance to it. To
yes,
leaving.
I do.
Yes, and the reason that you feel that emotional resistance is because of the loneliness and the other things associated with leaving. Again, it's a hard pill to swallow, but you yourself have already laid out exactly why these people are not relatable to you. You don't feel like they will be good friends. Even if you had the rank, they would still not be great friends. They are not good listeners. You already said this. They criticize you for expressing yourself. They, do all the things that you've mentioned. You've already laid out all the reasons that you need to make this decision that, hey, this is bad for me, I should probably not be with them. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I feel like I also have an emotional inclination to explain that to them why I don't think they're good friends. But I don't think but logically, you've already told me that I don't even have to do that.
Yeah, there you go. Just don't hang out with them. You don't have to explain yourself. If you don't want to be with them, don't be with them. That's it. Live your best life. Don't be with people that you shouldn't be with, that you don't want to be with. If you don't want to be with them, they don't need a reason. That's your business. That's your business, man. You just move on. Find the people you want to be with. You already know people that you want to be with, that you want to pursue. But focusing on this stuff right here is actually hindering you from focusing on those relationships that you do actually want to pursue. Because whenever you choose something, you are automatically not choosing something else. You are choosing to not do something else in the process of choosing. So when you choose to be with this friend group, you are actively hindering yourself from putting more attention into the relationships that you do actually want to pursue. And that is why you don't want to be with these people. Not because they are horrible people, or they are just in general bad. No, that's not it. It's because you don't relate to them, and there are other people in your life right now that you can relate more to, that you feel a much larger inclination towards being with. And so because of that, you reprioritize your attention and focus it on pursuing those relationships.
I think there are some relationships within the server that I do value. For instance, one of the people in the server was the person that introduced me to Resolve, if that proves anything. And there are some relationships that I would like to keep, and others I would like to play with.
Right, and that's fine. So, you can choose. You can pick and choose. Pick and choose. Go for the people that actually, give you value, that are valuable to you. That's it. And in turn, you will create more happiness by focusing on the people you want to be with, because then your energy, the fact that you want to be with them, will then influence them to feel happier. You will have a larger impact if you focus your attention on the people you want to be with. So overall, it's not selfish. It is actually selfless. You are focusing on the people you want to be with, and that leads to you being able to have a larger impact. Yeah. Does that make sense?
I think so.
Yes. Does it emotionally make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. Do you have any questions?
I think so.
Awesome. So everything is clear?
Yeah.
How do you feel right now? How do you feel?
I don't know.
Think about it. What do you feel?
I don't really feel anything right now about it. I feel a little weird. I didn't leave the server. I don't think I should.
Sure, that's fine. That's fine. If you don't want to leave the server, that's also fine. But don't interact with the people you don't want to be with.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Again, I'm not saying you should leave it. Again, like I said before, it's your decision. But if there are people you want to be with, go for that.
I don't want to leave it because just because I don't want to, because sometimes people have weird things in their Discord settings that makes it impossible for you to PM them if you're not in a server they're in.
Yeah, sure. I understand.
And so
I
threw the server into. I have like 100 servers or some shit, and so I just threw that weak server into like this pile of unorganized servers, and it will never probably see the light of day. And so, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's fine. Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't need to leave it in that case. Just continue to interact with the people you want to interact with. That's it.
I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a League game, and then I'm going to write down how I feel afterwards.
Yes, do that. Great. It was an awesome session. By the way, do you feel okay with me uploading at least like the this part of it?
You can upload as much as you want.
Sure. Okay. Awesome. Great, man. So I wish you a good day. I hope this felt helpful to you. I hope that you learned something from this. I hope that you got a lot of value out of this session. Yeah, and I'll see you later.
All right. See ya.
Yes. Bye-bye.